Hey y'all, my name's Jen. I'm a health and life coach on a mission to empower women, and this season I call the messy middle. We believe it's never too late to dream your wildest dreams and to build lives freed from the shoulds and have-tos. Here, we talk to ourselves like we do our girlfriends and our sisters and daughters. I will share stories and resources with lots of encouragement and a little bit of tough love to drive you toward action. In this podcast, we talk about everything: career, relationships, motherhood, and health. So grab your sneakers and let's go, because she's wild and freed. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of She's Wild and Freed. I'm your host, Jen, and I am so excited to jump into today's topic. I first, though, want to welcome any new listeners. I so appreciate you checking out the podcast, and I hope you're loving it. I hope you're getting great information and things that you can take back with you into your life. I also just want to say thank you to all those folks who have been listening in, maybe even from the beginning. I've been recording for about 9 months now. So thank you to anyone who's been with me through the beginning. And I'm still learning, still trying to figure out, the best way to podcast, great content, and things like that. So I just appreciate you guys, and I hope you will stick around and bring your friends if there's anyone who you think would benefit from, what I share here, and just would be interested in listening in. I would love it if you'd share the podcast with friends, family, anyone that you come across that might love this podcast. So today, we're going to jump into 3 things you can add right now to enhance your life and well-being. A couple of weeks ago, I shared a story of times when I didn't listen to my body and what it was trying to tell me. And I explained that when I removed something or took away a stressful thing from my life, that chronic pain that I was experiencing went away. Truly transformational. I'm blown away by the wisdom we hold in our bodies. And as I was editing that episode, I realized that I also want to talk to you all about things you can add to your life, not just remove or take away. The flow of life is quite interesting, and you have probably experienced this where things, people, places come in and out of your life. Your preferences change, your situation or location changes, and with that, we remove and add stuff throughout this flow. It's beautiful, really, although it can feel pretty freaking painful too when you're inside of the process, but beautiful nonetheless. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's titled, "What is Your Body Trying to Tell You?" You can go back and listen to it and think about whether or not you're listening to the signals of your body and what it's trying to tell you. In my case, a lot of the traditional methods to try to fix my chronic pain weren't working. And in the end, these were stress-induced pains. So literally, the pain I was experiencing was in my head, although I seriously felt it. Okay, so on to today's topic. Let's talk about things you can add to your life right now to enhance your overall well-being and life. These 3 things that we're going to talk about today are easy and accessible to everyone. However, you will need to be intentional with adding them to your life. While you listen, take what resonates and feels good to you, and then leave what doesn't. My intention for this episode is to add value to your life, your journey, and your overall well-being. The first thing you can add to your life is movement. What kind of movement, you ask? Any kind. And yes, I'm talking to you even if you walk or run, you lift weights or do Pilates. You can always add some movement into your day. I'm going to do some assuming here in this moment, but I assume that most of you sit for many hours in the day. And experts say sitting is the new smoking. At least that's what they said a few years ago, and I'm still going with it. Add some type of new movement into your routine. If you've been sedentary for a little while, or you've been starting and stopping some sort of routine, now is the time to commit to moving your body each day, even multiple times a day. Okay, before you press pause and stop listening, because you maybe feel a little called out at the moment, just give me a minute here. This is not about what you should be doing or what you should start, that you should be exercising X number of days a week. I know in the intro, I say we're getting rid of those shoulds and have tos, and that's not what this is about. It's simply about moving any way that you enjoy. So how do we do this? Add another thing to our already packed and stressful schedule. There's a couple of options. One, you can do a time study of your daily routine. You can either start a spreadsheet if you're like me and you're like a good spreadsheet, or you can write it in a notebook and look at where and how you spend your time and how long each of those tasks take. This is actually something we've done at work, and it's a really great exercise for work or life tasks. This time study will apply to all the things we talk about today, so it's very important to take time one day this week and examine where you spend your time. Once you've done that, then you can see that you may be spending too much time on some things or even wasting some time in another area. You may see where you have a lot of downtime. I think that's fair to say. We probably won't find a lot of downtime in our days, but if you do, that's amazing. But in these times where you've identified you've got some space, you can add some movement. If a time study sounds overwhelming and you're thinking, why the heck would I track all my tasks throughout the day? Great. Here's another tactic. It's called habit stacking. So this is when you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I add movement? I mean, and she's talking about this. I know experts say it's good for me to move my body, but I'm so stressed. I have so much going on. But habit stacking is a good way to just sneak it in. It's kind of like when you add broccoli to a sauce and you don't tell your kids. And if your kids are like mine, or at least one of them in particular, if there's green in it, they don't like it. It doesn't matter what it is. But anyway, this is kind of what you're doing for yourself, sneaking things in with habit stacking. So when you're making your kids lunch for camp tomorrow, do some squats in the kitchen. When you're running errands, park at the other end of the parking lot. So then you can walk a little more, get some steps in. when you're waking up in the morning. So you're already getting out of bed. You've got to go brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, get the kids up, whatever it may be. Just do a few stretches right there. Stretch your back, your legs, your shoulders, whatever feels good to you. Now, this may sound a little bit like cheating. It's not going to the gym or setting aside 30 minutes or an hour to do some sort of routine or exercise, but it sounds like movement to me. And there's all types of movement: walking, biking, dancing, crawling if you have little ones that spend a lot of time on the floor. Of course, working out in different ways, weights, classes, things like that, yoga or any kind of stretching, chasing your kid around the yard, playing tag after dinner, getting up from your desk a few times a day to fill up your water bottle. Try something new or add some movement into parts of your day when you feel stagnant or you notice you've been sitting for a long period of time. If you aren't fully convinced of this movement thing, I did a little research, and here is what the University of Colorado at Boulder says. Mental health is moving your body. The researchers state that the benefits of movement are many, and here are a few of them. Moving your body releases endorphins and helps relieve stress. Cue Legally Blonde. If you know, you know. It helps emotions move through the body. Strengthens the connections we have with our body. Movement also helps us build muscle, strengthens or increases our balance and coordination. I don't know about you, but I like the sound of all of that. Okay, the next thing you can add to your life is prayer or meditation. Yep. Spending quiet time with yourself or your higher power, whatever you believe, is so important and highly underrated in our culture. Take a listen to my previous episode titled Reframe, Celebrating the Summer Solstice Meditation. If you like guided meditations, we celebrate summer and the joy and freedom that comes with the new season. Also, Freedom is my series of all the guided meditations in the podcast. So listen to one of them, listen to all if you feel so called to do so. There is a misconception that the only way to meditate is sitting with your legs crossed and chanting and just clearing your mind. Nothing, no thoughts come in. And you can certainly do some of that or try it, but there are many ways to sink into a state of calm and allow your thoughts to pass through you, or to sit with a feeling or thought for a little bit. Walking, swimming, or biking. Of course, sitting still, lying down. You can find a lot of ways of getting into a state of flow where your mind has time to reset and refocus. If prayer is more your jam, honestly, you can pray anywhere or any way you want, in my opinion. Source, God, the universe is always here and available for a chat. I recently started running again, and I just love running so much. I wasn't able to do it for a while due to that chronic pain I mentioned earlier. This was in my hip. But I've been able to get back into it over the last month or so, and it feels great. I sometimes say that running is my church or my moment of Zen. Sometimes I'll run with AirPods in and listen to a podcast, but sometimes I run with no music or podcast so I can listen to my feet hitting the ground, my breath, the birds chirping. And although I may be huffing and puffing and working hard on a run, I'm able to run through my thoughts for the day or week, as well as flush out things during that run. I love it so much. I think I already said that, but I do. The benefits of prayer or meditation are also plentiful, and here are a few. Reduced blood pressure, enhanced immune system, improved sleep, increased happiness, better coping skills and self-control, a deeper sense of meaning and spirituality. I can't see anything wrong with spending a little time in prayer or meditation. Finally, the third thing you can add to your life is fresh air, sunlight, and water. Okay, that's 3 things. So the third, fourth, and fifth. But I grouped these 3 together because it's all about spending some time in nature. And I know it makes you sound a little bit like a plant. Make sure you water it, feed it, give it some sunlight and fresh air, but there really is something to this. Maybe some of you can relate to this, maybe you specifically. When I find that I've spent all day inside working, whether it be at my job or doing things around the house, I feel something is missing. I'm restless, sometimes cranky, and I have trouble focusing. So if I just take myself outside, and sometimes it's only for a few minutes, just in between calls for work or when I have a break, sit, let the sun hit my face, breathe in. It's all that I need to help me reset. It is pretty hot out there right now. It is summertime if you're listening to this podcast in real time. So if the heat bothers you, consider going out for a walk or a stroll around the yard in the morning, right when the sun's coming up. Then you can still experience that moment with the sun hitting you, breathing fresh air, and just enjoying a moment in nature. There are a lot of options out there. If you live in an apartment or don't have good access to nature, consider going to a local park or greenway. You could do it on your lunch hour. You can, of course, do it on the weekends or after dinner. Not only are you getting some of that much needed vitamin D from going outside and soaking in the sun, you're also shifting your focus away from screens. I also like to do a little grounding a few times a week. I go outside barefooted, walk in the grass, and that's a cool exercise too. And maybe we'll talk about it in another podcast episode. And of course, drink your water. Drink in the morning, midday, afternoon, evening. Drink water as often as you possibly can. Fill up that reusable water bottle and drink even when you aren't thirsty, because once you get to that point of thirst, you're already dehydrated. These 3 things have so many benefits on your mental and your physical health and well-being. So let's review. Number 1, add movement. This can be starting fresh because you've not moved or exercised in a while. This can be a new type of movement. This could be adding an extra 15-minute walk sometime in the day. Lots of options and so many benefits. Number 2, meditate or pray, be intentional with this time. It can be a 5-minute moment in the day, or you can schedule out an hour, whatever feels right to you. And if this is your first time really trying to meditate, guided meditations are definitely helpful. So check those out. And then 3, get outside. Breathe in the fresh air. Appreciate the sunlight and all that it brings. And don't forget to drink your water. I think it's really important as a health and life coach that I share things like this. We hear a lot from diet culture or our culture in general that we need to restrict, remove, stop that, don't do this. And I, along with many of my colleagues in the health and wellness space, want to shift the narrative to eating, moving, living in a way that feels good to you. We don't have to do life like anyone else. We don't have to eat like our sister. We don't have to move like our mom. We don't have to live like our family, friends, or people on the internet. If you're interested more in the topic of diets and why they don't work, check out episode 16 of the podcast, Why Diets Don't Work, a reframe on eating for a healthy life. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will add one of the things mentioned here or something else to your life to enhance it. Simple things like getting outside or moving your body can bring big changes to your mental and physical well-being. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you feel free to take action toward building the life of your dreams. If something in this episode resonated with you, I would so appreciate it if you would text it to a girlfriend so she can hear the message as well. Until next time, stay wild.